Hey, Amie.
Yeah, Juan.
Give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio portion of the show, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast or rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, ¿cómo estás?
Hey, what's up, my friend?
So, this is where plot twist, ladies and gentlemen. I walked into my studio. We were ready to record the episode. We started recording the episode, and
It
then the
was it was the best episode we've ever recorded, ever,
best
hands down.
episode ever. And then the power went out in the entire building. So there's a backup generator in the building. So we were running off of that.
And
But
then
the
you got
people,
kicked out.
yes, the
Rude.
people who own the building, running the building, told me I had to leave. So they physically like asked me to leave. So I am in the parking lot calling into my own show because that's how
Our
dedicated.
our show, our
Our
show.
show, excuse me, a thousand pardons. I think the connection broke up there and you heard my show when really I said our show.
I,
I
I
think
would
that's
just
what's
like
up.
to point out the dedication. I appreciate you going to the lengths to be on our show, because it was either scrap this week, which we felt was a little bit too important with the trade deadline and everything going on, winning 2 series, that Juan decided to take one for the team and he's going to record in the parking lot. He's back on assignment. But it wasn't for lack of trying. So thank you
Yeah.
guys for being patient with us while we try to get through at least a portion of the episode so that we can drop something for you guys.
And honestly, I really think the power went out in the building because those of you who live in Southern California, it's starting to get hot this week. We're
Mm.
actually starting to get summer weather. And so I think maybe the air conditioning running 24/7, who knows. But anyways,
Well,
what
and
we
I will
want
say this, we don't have the show monetized, so this truly is for love of our listeners.
that's
So
right. This is for you. So really, we're going to do a short show, ladies and gentlemen. So look, we all the Doyers. They had a winning road trip. They come back. They go 5-4 on the winning on the trip. They beat the Rojos 2 out of 3, and they beat the Rays 2 out of 3. You guys saw the games. You know what happened there. So right for this week, we're going to skip our recaps. But really, what we want to spend time on is we're going to give you some updates, and then we're going to talk about the trade deadline aftermath. We're going to get Amy's thoughts on the trade deadline, and then you guys can comment all you want on the trade deadline because I'm sure you guys have some feelings about that. Amy,
yeah.
a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Why don't we start with some updates?
Sure. So we had some injured list moves. So Hye-Seong Kim went to the 10-day IL with left shoulder bursitis. We activated Max Muncy on Monday, today when we're recording from the IL, but then pushed Tommy Edman over to the injured list. Kirby Yates went on there with lower back pain, retroactive to July 29th. But we did activate Blake Snell on Saturday, so we're getting players and kind of giving some of them back. So that injured list really just has a hold on us. We also activated Alex Freeland, so we got to see him in some of the series. We recently just claimed infielder Lucan Baker from the St. Louis Cardinals. Wow, this your power outage is affecting my brain right now. And then we should see Roki Sasaki potentially this Friday. He's targeted to pitch 3 innings, live BP. And if he does well, he'll go out on a rehab assignment. That being said, since Tommy Edman, we saw him go out with his ankle. We saw a lot of stuff go on over the last two series. Shohei Ohtani had to shorten his last outing because he had right hip cramping. I did want to call out game related, but not game related, but basically because you are recording in a parking lot. There were a lot of shots during that Rays series of Jose Mota and Luis Cruz, Cochito, basically dying in the heat at the stadium, which I'm sure you are dying in the parking lot right now. But at one point, Jose Mota had a fan around his neck. Cochito had sweat through his shirt, but he still had his glove on trying to catch, balls in the stadium. It's a crazy world right now, guys.
So let's go backwards. Let's go. I did see the shot, and I wondered because Jessica Mendoza and Steven Nelson didn't look like they were struggling. Uh, so I don't know if they were in an actual booth that had air conditioning or what. But
It
that
looked like
initial,
Jose and Cochito were like in an open air area of the press
yeah,
box.
it looked like they were in a sauna. So that neck fan that Jose Mota has, I have that very same one. Well, both of them were in cutoffs and had towels wrapped around them. They literally looked like they were doing the game, calling the game from a sauna. I felt so bad for those people.
Steven Nelson at one point even said the next time we come back to them, they may be shirtless because to your point, they had their shirts up, like rolled up onto their shoulders. Like it did not look comfortable. Even the players said like Freddie Freeman looked gassed running on the bases. Yamamoto was struggling a little bit, and they said like the heat was the worst heat that they had been in so far this year. And you know what that does. Like I don't even like covering a game in the heat. I'm not even playing on the field, but they were saying that the groundskeeper said that the heat was almost like 103 degrees, even though it was just 90 degrees, like temperature wise. So
It's
not
the
fun.
humidity. The
Yeah.
humidity in the South is horrible. Well, not
Yeah.
only in the South, on the East Coast, on the Midwest. I mean, humidity is no joke, Amy. I don't mess with that. That's why I stay in California. Yeah, I can't afford anything in California, but at least this weather is, I can't imagine going through every day what those people were going through, especially on Sunday. Some of those updates that you went over, I do want to make a comment. The Kirby Yates thing, I kind of wonder if he's been dealing with that for a while, and maybe that's why his performance has been uh, underwhelming, to be
Mhm.
nice about it. So I'm just curious how long he's been pitching with that. Blake Snell actually looked really good. I know he gave up those 2 home runs, but I tip my hat to Yandy Diaz hitting those home runs because that dude has clearly figured out a way to take advantage of that stadium. Those were two inside out swings that he hit for home runs.
I was just gonna say that was the talk of the weekend was the dimensions of that ballpark and the fact that both Yandy Diaz and I think it's Junior Caminero, their numbers at home are so astounding. Like they have doubled their stats at home and from last year versus when they're out on the road, and mainly because of the dimensions of that field.
Yeah, because other than those 2 home runs, I think Blake Snell looked really, really good, and I think Dodger fans should be very encouraged
Hmm.
by that. The Tommy Edmond thing. Tommy, just right before they put him on the IL, he had said that this ankle thing is something he's going to have to deal with the whole season, and the concern for me is if he's going to have to deal with it the whole season, this may become a chronic issue for him. And how is that going to go? I do feel it's probably impacted his performance. You saw how he started off in the season, and
Well, and I think this is what he had. They were saying he had surgery on this last year, but he also had half a season off last year to recover. He wasn't playing on it after he injured it. Now, granted, he hasn't had surgery on it this year, obviously, but playing on it when you're trying to rehabilitate a portion of your body that needs that extra help, that's not going to do it any favors. So I think Dave Roberts even said to Monday afternoon that they're going to put him on the IL for a longer stint so that he can get the healing he needs to hopefully come back and be in a better position.
that to me is concerning, Amy, because if it is, it sounds like to me this is a chronic issue with that ankle. And I do think it's going to continue to impact his performance. And so that's something that I think the Dodgers are going to need to figure out. And these 2 months is, are they better with a damaged Tommy Edman? Or look, I'm curious if they're going to give Freeland a longer leash now. I like.
He was taking grounders at second base Monday afternoon. They showed some footage at the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what I've seen from that kid. It's a very, very small sample size, but I think they really need to seriously consider if this kid is performing. I don't. It just sounds like it's been an issue all season for Tommy Edman. I don't know that all of a sudden it's going to stop being an issue because you just said he had a lot of time off last year and then was able to finish the season strong.
Well, yeah, he was our NL MVP, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Was it NL or was it NDS?
Yeah, no, yeah, and
No, he was
NLCS,
DS?
and
NLCS, yeah.
and
Like
NLCS.
National League, of course, yes. But I mean, he's never really gotten the rest that he needed. And let's be honest, none of these guys have. All of them have been playing injured all season long, and that's the challenge that we're up against is that cohesion and just getting some consistency in this lineup. And unfortunately, they haven't had it yet. So hopefully Alex can do some good. He got his first MLB hit this weekend. He got his first RBI single. So he doesn't look like he's shying away from anything at the plate, which is what you want to see. He doesn't have those nerves. So, he kind of just fits right in.
Yeah, and then Hae-Sung Kim, I don't know. The shoulder makes me a little nervous just because you're up against the end of the season,
Mhm.
and are you gonna have enough time to recover? And that's why I think Alex Freeman, this is Freeland, this is your opportunity right now to take advantage with this Tommy Edman and the Hae-Sung Kim injuries. That this is going to be a golden opportunity for him, and hopefully he can cash in on it.
Which is what we see in baseball, right? We talk about this all the time. It's this this is the sad side of baseball is the people that you don't want to lose are going to the IL, but at the same time, these are those opportunities that some people get to show what they have and sometimes even stay up. Like they earn that spot and they wouldn't have otherwise gotten it maybe quite so quickly.
Let's segue into the trade deadline. Amie, do you want to start off with who the Dodgers got and who they sent out?
Okay, so I have a jumble of this because all in full transparency, I was working in San Diego last week, so I missed a lot of this being trapped in a conference room. So I had to try to catch up after the fact. I would just hear rumblings of like Dustin May and other names, and it was like, wait, what? What? So basically, what I have is that Dustin May got traded to Boston for right fielder James Tibbs III and outfielder Zach Erzhard. The Nationals traded right fielder Alex Call to LA for right-handed pitcher Sean Paul Lignon and right-handed pitcher Eric Swan. And then there was that three-way trade where Minnesota traded right-handed pitcher Brock Stewart. Oh, wait, that was separate. Sorry. Minnesota traded right-handed pitcher Brock Stewart to LA for center fielder James Outman. So we saw him play his last game with the Dodgers on Wednesday, which was kind of a bummer. And then head into that trade with the Rays traded right-handed pitcher Paul Gervais, left-handed pitcher Adam Saranowski, and catcher Ben Rortvedt for Hunter Fiducia. And so it kind of ran the gamut. The Tampa Bay Rays got Zach Littell, or I'm sorry, they sent Zach Littell to the Reds. Paul Gervais, Ben Rortvedt went to LA. The Reds ended up sending Brian Van Bell to the Rays. Adam Saranowski went to the Dodgers, and then the Dodgers sent Fiducia to the Rays. So it was like all convoluted with that three-way trade going into play.
So let's start off with what were the Dodgers' needs. So going into that trade deadline, obviously the relief, the bullpen was a need, and then the outfield was the need. I think the bullpen was the priority. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of big names in terms of bullpen arms that ended up going somewhere else, and I think Dodger fan was not happy about it. I
And
think
I mean, the elephant in the room is Dustin May, where everybody's like, why would you trade an arm away? But everything that I read was that he wants to be a starting pitcher, and the Dodgers wanted him as a reliever, and they didn't agree. And kudos to the Dodgers for letting him go, I guess, and not forcing him, because you also don't want to have somebody as a reliever who like really doesn't want to be there. Although, because it's a business, you would hope that they would still be able to be amicable about that, but
yeah,
amicable.
and the knowing that about Dustin May, knowing that he didn't want to be a reliever because it is a different skill set, he would right. The Dodgers were saying they still wanted to keep him stretched out. So I'm
Hmm.
sure, and this is a contract year for Dustin May. His
Right.
contract, he's going to be a free agent next year. So I'm sure Dustin May took that into account and saying, hey, man, you put me in the bullpen, and now people are going to look at me as a reliever as opposed to being a starter. I see myself as a starter. I want to be a starter. And if we're honest, there are people that, well, if he can be good for one inning, he may be a successful reliever. But that's been the story with Dustin May all year long, Amy, is you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, you may get one really good dominant inning from him, but then you may get another inning where he can't throw a strike, and that's the last thing you want as a reliever, especially if it's in the late innings, that you're going to end up loading up the bases. We saw it this past weekend with Blake Trinan, so you just never know. I don't. I understand Dodger fans' frustration with Dustin May, but I can't stress enough. There is no guarantee that Dustin May would have been an effective reliever for this team. Do you need
You
you need a
are not
moment?
wrong. You are not wrong. And I almost just choked myself to death thinking about that. um, I think kudos to the Dodgers for even letting him go, because any organization could have been like, tough luck, get in the bullpen. And they
Well,
didn't do that to him.
I wouldn't go that far because they clearly, once they heard that, they clearly needed to make room. They needed to make some roster space.
Sure, I'm
And
not saying like, oh, the benevolent Dodgers and all of their whatever, but like there are teams where we have heard where, tough luck. And they could have done that. They didn't. Instead, they got a return on that. And, Dustin May got to go do something that he prefers to do.
yeah, and I know that Duran from the Twins, the Gemelos, that was the big sexy name. I mean, the guy throws hard. He throws over 100 miles per hour. I know that's who the Dodgers wanted. Bill
Did you
Plash.
see his debut?
Yeah,
How like everybody was like, oh, so cinematic.
well, I mean, but he was doing that in Minnesota. I mean, the Phillies
Fair.
just the Phillies just took it. But it was interesting because Plaschke wrote an article. Bill Plaschke of the Los Angeles Times wrote an article taking the Dodgers to task for not making that deal. Now, in terms of prospects, the Phillies, if you believe it, and this is what's really hard when it comes to the trade deadline, especially when you're trading prospects. So those were two top five prospects in the Phillies system that got traded for Duran. So if you believe that, that seems to be a pretty high price. Now, Duran is not a rental because they still have him under control for another year, and that's part of the reason why the price tag is that high. But I will say this. Yes, he's very sexy in terms of he throws hard, and that's who you want towards the end of the game. But if you look at what the Dodgers needed in terms of the bullpen, the Dodgers needed somebody who could get right-handers out. And if you look at Brock Stewart's numbers, who the Dodgers ended up getting from the Gemelos, because the Gemelos traded a third of their team away during this trade
Yeah.
deadline.
That was such a bummer to I mean, you want to see teams contend, but like just to see the how many they got rid of, it was just heartbreaking
But
for their fans.
if you look at Brock Stewart's numbers against right-handed hitters, Brock Stewart has better numbers than Duran does against right-handed hitters. So I know that Brock Stewart is not a sexy name, and I know that Dodger fans are upset because they didn't make the same number of moves as the show pods did, or they didn't get the players that the Phillies got, or even that the Metropolitans got. But they did address a need, which is facing right-handed hitters, Brock Stewart is having a hell of a season against right-handed hitters. Now, my only thing is, Amie, is I don't think one arm is was enough, and I think that's the big thing right now. That the takeaway from the trade deadline for the Dodgers is the Dodgers are clearly banking on all these injured players coming back. Not only coming back, but coming back and performing the way they were performing in the past. And that to me is a big gamble, Amie.
Well, I'm wondering like, okay, so you didn't get Duran, but like who else were they going to get? Like you want to have multiple arms. Who are these people that they were supposed to acquire?
I would have liked to have
All
gotten
of them?
not all of them. I would have liked to have gotten another right-handed hitter, only because I mean a right-handed reliever, in particular Halsey from the Cardinals, from the Cardenales. The Mets went ahead and got him. I would have liked to add. I would have liked to have added two arms, only because of the number of injuries. Like Kirby Yates, you don't know what's going to happen with him. Like Blake Trinan was great during his rehab start, but in his two appearances in Major League Baseball, he's having some control issues. So that makes me a little nervous because Blake Trinan is older. Blake Trinan is 37 years old, and in the postseason last year, he got run into the ground. They sacrificed Blake Trinan to win that World Series. And if you ask Blake Trinan, he'll tell you it was worth it, right, to do that.
Mhm.
But I think he's paying the price for it this year. And not only that, Amy, I think a lot of the Dodgers players are paying the price for what happened in that postseason this year. And that's the gamble that I'm not sure the Dodgers are going to be able to win, because I don't know if these guys are going to be able to recover what they went through, what they put their bodies through in the postseason
Well, and
last year.
we saw that with the Rangers the previous year. Like everybody was like, "Oh yeah, run it back," and it's like Corey Seager was hurt. Like it just it takes a lot. The season takes a lot out of you regardless. And then if you're going all in on a postseason run, and the Dodgers got farther than they've gotten since 2020, really, like it takes a lot out of you. And I I mean, they're still doing the best that they can. They're second in the National League right now. Milwaukee seems to be kind of running away with it for the moment, but they're only 2 games up. So if they can find a way to, even with some of these younger players that they picked up that they're kind of filling spots with, if they can kind of stopgap it, who knows? Maybe they do get some of these guys back, or they get them back to a healthy enough spot that by the time the postseason rolls around, they have an option, or they have a chance to contend.
What is going to be interesting for me is when they do get to the postseason. Yeah, I get it, because I'm not banking on Michael Kopech coming back. I'm not banking on Brusdar Graterol coming back. I mean, those are two big right-handed arms that would help you tremendously. That's why I would have loved to have seen the Dodgers pull the trigger on getting another right-handed arm.
Well,
Now,
and everything's been super quiet on Joe Kelly so far, other than like you did see Ashley Kelly post a video of Joe throwing, and one of his little kids was kind of standing too close to the plate. And you could see like Joe Kelly still got it. And also, side note, like we're gonna have words later because one of their kids was a little too close when he was throwing.
if that's the big acquisition they make down the road, Amy, I think that means the
It's
Dodgers.
not gonna be the big acquisition. It could be an acquisition. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but they're in a dogfight right now. They are 3 games up on the show pods, and you saw all the moves the show pods made in the trade deadline. A lot of people feel they won the trade deadline. I like a lot of the moves that they made. Yeah, they got a reliever that supposedly the Dodgers were in on in Mason Miller. If you believe that, now the show pods now. Here's one of the things. I know the Dodgers are being criticized because of they didn't make the same amount of moves as the show pods did at the trade deadline. But all those moves that they wanted the Dodgers to make The Dodgers made those in the offseason. The
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers are clearly banking on those talents doing what they normally do. That's what the season is going to be. When we look back at the end of the season, if they win the World Series, it was because of their off-season signings came through and they did what they were supposed to do.
But
If they
that
don't,
is
it's
literally
because
what Brandon Gomes said though. Like they're banking on their talent that they already have.
right. So that's why what I think is going to be interesting because they didn't get that other right-handed arm is when they get into the postseason, and that I mean, I would have liked another right-handed arm to hopefully win the division, but if they don't win the
How's it
division,
feel to want?
yeah, if they don't win the division and they end up going as a wild card, I will feel a little more comfortable going into the postseason because then I feel Emmett Sheehan is going to go into the bullpen. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the other right-handed arm that maybe you need is going to be now Emmett Sheehan because you go into the postseason, you're going to need four starters. And right now, if Blake Snell stays healthy, if Glasnow, Yamamoto, and you have Shohei, you have four starters there. You have Kershaw's in it and insurance for a
Well,
fourth starter.
we're
But
seeing that rotation because they're already kind of putting that into play. So they're testing it out this week. Monday night, you've got Tyler Glass now going. Tuesday, they've given to Emmett Sheehan, so he'll be the starter tomorrow night. And then you've got Shohei Ohtani going on Wednesday up against that day off, so he gets a little bit more rest. You've got Kershaw slated for Friday, and then potentially Blake Snell on Saturday. So they're already kind of testing out this rotation, and then you would see Yamamoto on Sunday. So there's your 6-man rotation at the moment. And then potentially, if anybody else does come back, gets healthy, whatever, then you could see Sheehan going to the bullpen.
and so that's why that in my mind is how I justify it. But the other concern for me is the offense. The offense has been struggling for a month now. In the month of July, there are one of three teams that didn't score 100 runs in the whole month. The offense has been struggling. Hopefully, with Max Muncy coming back, it might spark this lineup. But in the end, the same way that Gomes had said they're counting on their guys to get healthy and to come back, they are counting on these guys who have their everyday players that have been struggling offensively to do what they normally do on the back of their baseball card, which
Well,
means Mookie Betts needs to go back to being Mookie Betts because
and
I
they're
don't know if
still
the
looking at the
version
line. Go ahead.
I just don't know if the version that of Mookie that we have right now, if that's the same Mookie that they get in the postseason, I don't know if that's going to be enough offensively to help them win games.
Well, and I mean, it'll be what it's going to be. So, as we saw in those series, like he did have a stint hitting leadoff. They did just move him back in Sunday's game. So, Shohei Ohtani took back the leadoff position. And I think they were saying that I think Mookie was hitting like 205 during that stint at the top. So, I'd have to check that against his other numbers. But you are also seeing some improvement. Tim Neverett and Rick Monday were talking before Wednesday's game that Conforto, like that's all everybody can talk about right now is that he has improved. So while he does have a 195 batting average, as of the end of June, so when we were looking at like that June 22nd game, from there on out, he was hitting 278. So he's like 22 for his last 79 at bats. In that time, he's hit 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, 13 runs scored, some walks mixed in there. But the last 15 games up to Wednesday where he was hitting 333, and in the last week he was 353. So while it's not the production everybody has wanted to see consistently all season long, he is starting to hit, I guess, more kind of in stride, which right now, while the rest of the offense is struggling, that's kind of what you need while they're trying to just figure it out.
Yeah, my concern though is as Michael Conforto is almost at the euchre line, he made adjustments that obviously are helping him and are working. But Michael Conforto hits at the bottom of the lineup. When your offense is struggling, you're very dependent on the top of your lineup because that's where your best hitters are and then producing. So when Mookie is hitting below the euchre line on this road trip that they just came back from, and he was hitting leadoff the majority of the time, and then you have the unicorn literally striking out almost half the time, those are your first two hitters in your lineup. So if they're not getting on base, Will Smith is fantastic. Federico Freeman is starting to get hot again. They don't have anybody on base to drive in. Therefore, that's why it all goes back. If Mookie starts hitting, if the unicorn, can maybe cut down on a few of these strikeouts, that might go ahead and help your offense, and then everything will go right back. And the master plan has worked.
Well,
But
and we did see some improvement. So it has been noticeable, the number of strikeouts. So during that red season, they struck out 13 times in Monday's game, 14 in Tuesdays, 8 in Wednesdays. Fast forward to Friday when they start playing the Rays, they struck out 15 times Friday, 11 times Saturday, but only 3 times on Sunday. So if they can keep that going in this next series, hopefully like that could be something that trends upward for them. That's my positivity of like hopefully we can keep that going, and maybe they're all kind of finding something and getting in stride together. That's the hope as they're going into this Cardinals series.
And what a lot of the talk was today, Monday, at the time we are recording this, Bob Nightingale of the USA Today, is reporting that the Dodgers were very active in trying to get Stephen Kwan, from the Guardians, and that deal never got done. So they were definitely trying to upgrade their outfield, and it didn't happen. And this is something that I feel like I've been talking about this for a while, and that is everybody talks up the Dodgers farm system, and clearly two things happened here. One, the Dodgers were not willing to pay the price, and they were very high prices during this trade deadline. The Dodgers were not willing to give up their best prospects for anybody out there. And okay, I don't blame them for that. They don't want to do that. But the other thing could be true is the prospects that they were willing to trade, other teams didn't value those prospects as high as other teams. So when every time everybody says the Dodgers prospects, the farm system is really great, it's really strong, maybe the farm system is really top heavy with some really good prospects, but those are prospects that Friedman doesn't want to get rid of. So, yet it's going to be really hard to make trade deals when other teams don't want what you're willing to give up.
Well, and we also don't know what's going on behind the scenes too. Like we don't see the physicals. We don't like we've even seen certain players perform better based on their stats like in different ballparks. Maybe there were certain things that they identified with other players that you know what, maybe they wouldn't be a good fit, or maybe health-wise, again, not a good fit. So I don't think it's just a hey, we want that person, let's go get them. I think there are so many things involved behind the scenes in addition to just getting another team to agree to it with you that like I don't envy anybody. Like the movies don't do it justice. I don't think like you can watch Moneyball, like you can watch any of these movies that like have a lot of these trades. They make it look easy. I don't think it comes down to what we think it actually entails. I think there's a lot more that goes into it that maybe we're not even privy to.
This is one unanswerable question that I have,
And
and
so
that
you're
is
like,
if
hold on, let me ask it.
I'm going to put it out there because I'm curious if our listeners, our viewers, have this same question. If the Dodgers hadn't have won the World Series last year, would they have been willing to pay those prices? Because the show pods haven't won the World Series. They give up every year. They seem to give up their whole farm system. They seem to go for it. And that to me, I applaud them. And I want to say, and I know everyone's like, oh, Juan, why are you giving the show pods so much credit? They haven't done anything. The show pods are going to have to pay taxes because they are over the limit on their payroll. And
Okay,
this
but
is
they
a
also didn't make any moves in the offseason where the Dodgers like basically won the offseason. So I think people have short memories in that respect too of it's not like they didn't it's not like the years where they were saving and making moves so that they could get Shohei and they didn't do anything and everybody's up in arms. They literally won the offseason and they didn't make as big of a splash during the trade deadline that people would have wanted, but like let's not forget, for whatever reason, the Padres didn't spend, whether it was the impending lawsuits that they had going on or they just didn't want to put money out there. They didn't pick up any players really before the season started. So let's balance out our expectations a little bit on that respect.
but they did spend the off season before, and
Mm-hmm.
because they spent so much, they had a lot of those guys that they spent money on are very long term contracts. So a lot of those positions are filled. What I'm saying is the show pods are a small market team that is now over the tax limit. Are going to have the payroll limit. They're going to pay taxes, and they're a small market team. And you compare it to what the Gemelos did, which was basically had a fire sale. My question is, why is it that one small market team can do whatever they can to try to be competitive? And you know what? It's working for them. Yes, they have a big payroll. And what's happening? That stadium is filled every game. Every series, Petco Park is filled because they've put out a product out there for their fans to come out and support. If other teams would be willing to do that, they might be reaping the benefits the same way the show pods are. So, yes, the show pods made great moves that I think, we'll see at the end if it's enough for them to catch the Dodgers and overtake the Dodgers. But I applaud them for
So what was
taking
what
that
was
big
your
swing.
question? Your question was why do some teams do it and some
No,
others
my
don't?
my 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 question is that the Dodgers hadn't have won the World Series last year,
Mm.
would they have gone all in to get a Duran, to get a Mason Miller, to really shore up this bullpen? Or is it because of the fact that they've won a World Series last year, they're riding that wave, they have the players, they think all they need to do is just get healthy. We have the talent here, and if they end up doing what they're supposed to do, we're going to end up winning the World Series again. That's what I'm saying is the unanswerable question because we won't know because it's the what if game that you hate so much because the Dodgers did win the World Series last year. These other teams, the Show Pods, have never won a World Series. It's been, I don't think that long for the Phillies, but the Phillies seem to be very aggressive at the trade deadline. The Metropolitans have not won a World Series in a very, very long time. So these are teams that are showing everybody what we all want is their desire to win. They want to win and they're going all in. And I applaud those teams for doing all that. The Dodgers have a strategy that have taken that it may work for them and they may end up winning the World Series again. And that is a choice. Obviously, their assessment, they didn't think anybody was worth those high prospects. And look, Zaire Hope and DePaula looked great. I know it was only one game, but in that futures game during the All Star break, I mean, this kid is still very young and he's still developing. So
He
you
looked good
don't.
during spring training too, not just the futures game. Like he's consistently been impressing people since, as he's progressing through the minors.
So I understand the hesitation in trying to trade that guy because he is going to be in your outfield fairly soon. And right now, your
Sooner
outfield,
sooner than, rather than later potentially.
yeah, I mean, right now your outfield is not that strong. And you look at the roster is all of a sudden it's a lot older than you thought it was. When you thought, okay, we had this nucleus, a lot of these guys are now entering into their mid 30s, and like something happens, the baseball clock,
Who's
father time.
shocked by that though? Like we all know their age. I guess like we knew that. That's why they've been putting such a priority on trying to win a World Series up until last year even because we've been talking about it since last year. Freddie's not getting any younger. Mookie's not getting any younger, etc. Even Shohei, like he just turned what 30 this year. Like
Yeah.
these things are gonna start wearing and tearing on them because they're not in their mid to late 20s anymore. That's just the
I,
nature of
I,
baseball.
I'll say this, Amy. I would have liked them to get another bullpen arm. I would have liked them to have gotten a better offensive player as an outfielder. They addressed their needs. I get it. It wasn't as splashy as the other teams, but I would not call this trade deadline a disaster the way some people in the media or some fans are reacting to it. But again, it takes two to tango. If you did not have willing trade partners, you're not going to be able to get trades done.
And that's where I think that's where we'll never know like what happened behind the scenes because you don't know if there's like a Dodger tax. Like maybe people didn't want to trade to the Dodgers. Like you don't like period. It doesn't matter what the cost was. So I those are the things where to me it's like, all right, we got some players. Let's see what we can turn around on that. Let's see how it plays out. We've got Alex Call now out in the outfield. You've got, Brock Stewart just made his Dodger debut for the season. So, the hope is they fit in well. And you and I were talking about this before the show. Kevin Kiermaier got his World Series ring when they were in Tampa Bay. He had a whole speech about he's played on good teams, and the time that he spent with the Dodgers, it just elevated what cohesion and teamwork was like. And that's not to throw shade at his other teams. He's saying they were still great caliber teams, but the Dodgers took it up a notch. So the fact that this team is so amazing and you continue to hear it throughout the league and they're struggling, they're trying to hold it together. Like it just unfortunately is not their summer, and hopefully as August and September kind of roll around, maybe they finally find it. If they don't, it's going to be what it's going to be, but they're still leading the National League West, and we just have to hope that they keep doing that.
The bottom line overall in terms of the trade deadline is they addressed their needs and they really didn't give up much. They still have their crown jewel prime prospects. Uh, Dustin May, we talked about it. Dustin May seemed to have been a victim of the numbers game, but
Mm-hmm.
also Dustin May's performance dictated the fact his inconsistency. You just don't know what his role would have been if he stayed with the team for the rest of the year. We lost two other players that were on the major league roster, and that was James Outman, fellow member of the Staloners Club. I'm very happy for him. I'm hoping now he has an opportunity to play every day with the Gemelos, and I hope he proves that he can be a major league player because I don't think he was going to get that opportunity with the Dodgers anymore. So this is about him now being able to see if he can stay in Major League Baseball.
And
Same.
Hunter Fiducia is still getting that opportunity right now in Tampa Bay. He just played 2 days in a row. Like the commentary during the game was like he would not have gotten that with the Dodgers. Like we're not even seeing Dalton Rushing getting that. I think he got 2 days mainly because of the way the roster worked out. But like he's not going to get that as a backup catcher consistently going through. Hunter Fiducia is now going to get that opportunity to play on a more regular basis before both him and James Outman get any older.
Yeah. So again, I don't think they lost much. So in terms of that, if they want to make a move in the off season or next year, they still have bullets in the chamber. But I think
Mm-hmm.
the biggest takeaway from this trade deadline is obviously the moves they made in the off season. That is what they are banking on. And if those moves pan out, they're going to look like geniuses. If those moves don't pan out, there's going to be a lot of second guessing at the end of the season saying, why didn't you do more at the trade deadline?
Not everybody's going to be second guessing them, though. To be fair, there are going to be certain partitions of the fan base that might, like, but again, this is the team we have. So we support who we have. And, this is what we got. Who I don't know anyone out here who can make a difference, who can go change the trade deadline or go jump into the front office and start making moves. So you support who you have.
And that's what the Dodgers are going to have to do.
Yep.
They made their bed, and this is who they're rolling with, and let's see if it pans out. I know we were going to do a short show this time. Amie, is there anything else you want to address about the trade deadline?
It's not really trade deadline, but it's kind of adjacent to, players making all of those moves. We did hear right before the show started that Dodger, I don't even know, friend of the club, like Austin Barnes got released from the Giants, and so you had been doing a little bit of research and found that he has till the end of the month to sign with another team, but just a bummer that he got released. He hadn't really gotten to come back up to the majors and play, but hopefully he gets an opportunity to play somewhere.
Yeah, the Giants may have done him a favor by giving him an opportunity to see if he can latch on with a team that has a shot at the postseason. As long as he is on the 40-man roster or even on the 60-day injured list with a major league team, he can be eligible for the postseason roster. So this may be the Giants doing him a solid and saying, hey, go see if you can find someone else that can use you. And you just never know. Injuries may happen, and then all of a sudden the team may be desperate, and they could be knocking on Austin Barnes' door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Viacone whoever you believe in, and we'll see what happens.
That's right. You go over there. Well, uh, anything else you want to go ahead and address, Amy?
If you guys need a little dose of happiness, go search the internet for Teoscar Hernandez gloving up and punching. Is it Raymond from the Rays? Did I get that? I don't know the mascot's name, but there is a little clip of him grabbing one of the boxing gloves that their mascot had and just kind of giving him an uppercut to the jaw, taking him to the ground. So you could see Teoscar laughing, kind of running away. It was a little reminiscent of, Tommy Lasorda back in the day. But if you get a chance to see that clip, it made me smile. So.
You're the queen of positivity, right? I am a little surprised that you condone the violence on mascots.
I mean, it was really the smile on Teoscar's face for me that did it. Because he would never do anything to hurt somebody, so it was all in good fun.
I personally am sick and tired of seeing these mascots being victims and being just
Says the lover
mistreated.
of Rocky. Okay.
Being mistreated the way they are, constantly harangued. It's just not. Look, I give whoever was in that outfit that weekend in Tampa Bay, they deserve a raise, man, because
Ugh.
I don't know how they were able to do it.
If Jose Mota and Cochito were dying in just their regular clothing, can you imagine that mascot outfit? Oh,
Yeah, exactly. I was really expecting that Cochito and Jose Mota shot to turn into a meme. Did you see it? I was looking for it. I didn't see it on social media. I thought when I saw it live on the broadcast. So the
same.
minute I saw it live on the broadcast, I said, "Oh, that's going to be all over social media," and I'm surprised I didn't see it at all.
No, I didn't either. I honestly, as I was watching the game, I was just more like it made me feel lethargic because then you also saw the umpires like as the game went on, their shirts got more and more soaked, and it was just like, ugh. Like, can I just go turn my air conditioning up just a couple more notches? Because good grief.
Yeah,
I
it's never good when you can feel the swarthiness through the television. It's just not.
can you
It's not
imagine
a very good viewing experience.
can you imagine if they still had the bad fanatics uniforms?
I was thinking about that too. I was literally thinking. I was like, oh, there was a period there where we could see all the sweat on the uniforms.
Yeah. So right now it's just the umpires and Jose Mota and Cochito. So, I guess you win some, you lose some.
That's true. Well, before we wrap things up, I do want to have just a quick update. It is now the third month in a row, Amie, that I have seen a movie a day. In the month of May, I saw 31 movies in 31 days. In the month of June, I watched 30 movies in 30 days. In the month of July, I watched 31 movies and 31 days. And this is a combination of movies in the movie theater. This is watching movies on TV. So I'm going to see if I can continue my streak in August and go for 4 months in a row. You guys all know we love movies on this show, and we do appreciate Jose Ayala giving us that update
Oh
on
my
what is.
gosh. Did
Uh,
you why are we ending on a bad note?
I don't know if it's a bad note because honestly, Amy, I'll believe it when I see it. And what we're talking about here is Jose Ayala. Did he say that they're remaking it? They're going to remake La Bamba?
Yes, he said that there's a remake in the works potentially, which I just the thought of them remake, I'm looking for it. He said, "Hey guys, there's a remake of La Bamba coming soon." I just that makes me cringe because how do you remake that movie's a classic. Like how do you like not my Richie and like throw the laundry? Like how do you remake that movie?
Hey, Amy, he said in the works. So there is a chance that this is not going to happen. I, like you, feel like that movie should not be remade. They should just leave it alone. I
Isai
feel that way.
Morales as Bob, like you cannot replace him as Bob. Like
I,
just
yeah. It's Ricardo Valenzuela and his flying guitar. I mean, come on, people.
it's
We don't.
Johnny and Santo at the end with Sleepwalker. Like that song is forever changed because of that movie. Like you hear that song and somebody's gonna yell Richie at the end of it.
I was gonna say you totally beat me to it. I mean, when I read that comment from Jose Ayala, I was like, not my Richie, not my Richie, Bob, not my Richie.
That's one of
Uh,
my favorite. Anytime one of our players goes out on the IL or something happens to them in the game, that is my go-to gif is the mother like throwing her laundry and like I just please don't remake it. This is my plea to Hollywood. Please don't touch this movie. Like it just does not need to be touched. That's
I,
that's
I I still think it's not gonna happen, Amy. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
I hope not because once like if they when they try to cast it like you just can't. I okay,
You
now
mean
that
they
I'm all
can't
work
cast another Native American to play a Mexican?
well, I think he's also Filipino if I'm not mistaken.
Uh, well, I guess it's better than Charlton Heston as a Mexican. So.
I mean, now that I'm all worked up, I did want to mention that the Saber Diamond Stories was this past weekend, and one of our listeners actually joined us. So Sally, joined the call, and we got to hear Gabrielle Augustine talk about her work as a curator for the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, and it was amazing. I think it was recorded, so it'll also be up on YouTube. But just the stuff that they get to deal with and touch, and the not just the archives, but the exhibits that they curate. They were just talking about the new Yaku baseball exhibit that went up for like the induction ceremony, so that was there because of Ichiro and all of the other players that were there that got inducted. So it was really interesting. We have them every month. First Saturday of the month. It is at 7 a.m. So, like I said, roll out of bed, grab your coffee. You don't have to turn your camera on. But it's just a nice way to talk baseball and to learn more stuff, learn how different things around baseball work based on, who's coming and who's going to give the talk that week or that month, I should say. So, sorry, I had to clean the La Bamba taste out of my palate.
I get it. I get it. So hopefully next time I'll be back in my studio. The power will be back on, but it looks like it is going to be hot. It's going to be a hot one for the rest of this week. And good luck to all of you going out to that Wednesday day game to get the Unicorns World Series ring. It's going to be hot out there, a day game, ladies and gentlemen. But I get it. You guys, you need your memorabilia. So.
I will not be at that game this week, but mercy on every single one of you, Viacon, whoever.
Yeah. Good luck to all of you there. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this show. For those of you that have been listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at DB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.